The judge did not just say no, he stripped away the one thing Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were counting on to protect their reputations. The courtroom went silent as the ruling dropped, and for the first time, Hollywood's golden couple realized their celebrity status would not save them from this legal nightmare. It was a total humiliation that left Ryan personally exposed to a massive defamation claim he never saw coming. They thought they could dismiss the entire lawsuit as mere PR drama, but the judge saw right through the strategy. This is no longer just a tabloid story. It is a legal disaster that is quickly spiraling out of control for everyone involved. Blake Lively truly believed she was about to walk out of that courtroom with a clean win and her public image fully intact. She and Ryan Reynolds approached the bench with a very bold argument, essentially telling the court that the entire legal battle was nothing but exaggerated drama. They wanted the case tossed out immediately, claiming they should never have been dragged into Justin Baldoni's messy situation in the first place. It was a high-stakes move designed to shut everything down before the public could see what was really going on behind the scenes. But instead of the quick exit they expected, they hit a brick wall that changed everything. Not only did the judge refuse to toss the case, but he also reportedly looked at their request to have their massive legal fees covered and gave a direct, unsympathetic no. We are talking about life-changing amounts of money that they wanted the other side to pay for, and the judge wasn't having any of it. There was no soft landing, no partial victory, and absolutely no sympathy for their position. It was a straightforward rejection that immediately shifted the power dynamic in the courtroom. You could practically feel the energy drain out of their legal team, as it became clear that this was going to be a long, expensive, and very public fight. But the real bombshell, the part that has Ryan Reynolds' inner circle reportedly panicking, came right after the initial rejection. The judge didn't just keep the case alive, he specifically left the door wide open for a legitimate legal pathway connecting Ryan directly to the defamation claims. Until this very moment, Ryan had managed to stay somewhat on the sidelines of the public controversy. He was involved, sure, but he wasn't completely exposed in a legal sense. Now, the judge has signaled that Ryan could be pulled right into the center of the conflict, making him personally vulnerable to the fallout of the entire lawsuit. This development is exactly the kind of scenario that makes high-powered legal teams extremely nervous very quickly. When a judge signals that a massive star like Ryan Reynolds is fair game for discovery and direct legal claims, the stakes skyrocket. It means his private actions, his professional decisions, and his personal communications are suddenly on the table for scrutiny. The shield of being just the husband or a creative consultant has been shattered. Behind the scenes, the panic is real because this move by the judge has turned a manageable PR headache into a full-blown legal war that could target Ryan's personal assets. Even their closest associates aren't escaping the judge's firm hand in this case. Blake's longtime publicist, Leslie Sloan, also tried to make a move to get her own legal costs covered, and the numbers were staggering. She reportedly asked for approximately $1.3 million in attorney fees to be handed over. It was a massive flex that completely backfired when the judge shut the request down. He didn't just say no. He essentially told her to go back to the drawing board and find a different legal route if she wanted to pursue that money. It was the courtroom equivalent of being told to come back when you have a better argument. While the legal teams were duking it out over millions of dollars, a much darker part of the controversy was finally addressed in open court. You might remember the shocking reports of subpoenas being sent to over 100 different content creators, including YouTubers and journalists. These people were suddenly pulled into the chaos and ordered to hand over their private emails, financial records, and personal communications. For months, these creators lived under the crushing weight of legal intimidation, wondering if their lives were about to be ruined by a celebrity legal team. The judge finally stepped in to address the situation, but the damage was already done. The judge ultimately ordered those subpoenas to be quashed, which sounds like a win on paper, but the reality is much more complicated. Many of those content creators had already spent thousands of dollars on their own attorneys and endured months of extreme stress. Some of them strongly believe that Blake Lively's side acted in bad faith, using these subpoenas as a blatant intimidation tactic to silence anyone who dared to criticize them online. They felt like they were being bullied into submission by a powerful machine. However, the judge disagreed with the bad faith label, ruling that since the subpoenas were withdrawn, it didn't count as legal misconduct. This conclusion has left a very sour taste in the mouths of many people following the case. To the outside world, it looks like a classic case of aggressive legal pressure being applied, until someone finally stood up and fought back. The fact that the judge didn't officially punish the move doesn't change the public perception that this was a move to suppress free speech and control the narrative through fear. It has painted a picture of a legal strategy that is willing to go to extreme lengths to protect a celebrity brand, even if it means dragging innocent bystanders into the line of fire for months on end. As if the courtroom drama wasn't enough, there is now a massive shadow looming over the case in the form of Taylor Swift. Insiders claim that Taylor is watching these developments with an eagle eye, and for good reason. If her name appears anywhere in the upcoming discovery documents, private texts, or internal emails, she could be pulled directly into this toxic controversy. That is the danger of the discovery phase. It isn't just about legal evidence. It's about every private conversation and every hidden message suddenly becoming public record. One mention of her name could turn this into an international media circus. Reports suggest that Blake Lively is already deeply stressed about what might come out during discovery. Once that process begins in earnest, controlling the story becomes almost impossible. You can't just release a polished statement or post a smiling photo to make it go away. If there are messages that contradict their public image, or emails that show a different side of the production drama, they will be laid bare for the world to see. The fear is that the discovery process will act like a wrecking ball to the carefully constructed perfect couple brand that Ryan and Blake have spent years building and protecting. While the legal pressure builds, there has been a very strategic shift in how Blake Lively is presenting herself on social media. After months of staying quiet and lying low, she suddenly reappeared with a flurry of posts that feel like a masterclass in PR management. We're seeing smiling family photos, messages of gratitude, and a narrative that everything in her life is just perfect. When a celebrity starts posting like this in the middle of a massive legal battle, it is almost never a coincidence. It's a calculated move to remind the public of the version of her they fell in love with. But many fans aren't buying it this time around. The timing of her return to Instagram feels almost too precise, coming right as the legal news started to turn sour. By emphasizing her role as a loving mother and a devoted wife, she is trying to pivot the conversation away from the courtroom and back to her personal charm. It's a classic move to soften her public identity and make the legal accusations seem like distant, unimportant noise. But given the intensity of the judge's recent rulings, that carefully constructed image of calm is starting to look extremely fragile and forced. The media machine is working overtime to support this everything is fine narrative. Outlets are quick to jump on every blurry photo of Ryan and Blake together, turning minor family moments into major news stories about their unbreakable bond. It's a strategy designed to flood the zone with positive content so that the negative legal updates get buried in the search results. But the contrast between these curated moments of love and the heavy legal reality in the background is becoming harder to ignore. One side is selling a fairy tale, while the other side is facing a potential legal catastrophe. We are now entering the most dangerous phase of the entire case, discovery. This is where the real substance of the lawsuit starts to emerge, and it is the part that high-profile celebrities fear the most. This isn't just about lawyers arguing over technicalities anymore. This is about official records, internal communications, and private thoughts being entered into the court record for everyone to read. If Ryan Reynolds is mentioned in these materials, the scope of the disaster widens significantly. It could expose the inner workings of their professional lives in a way that no amount of PR can fix. Speculation is growing that the material found in these documents could completely reshape how the public views this entire case. If private messages surface that show a different attitude behind the scenes than what was presented to the fans, the backlash will be swift and brutal. This is why the legal teams are fighting so hard over every motion and every delay. They know that once the floodgates of discovery are open, there is no going back. The perfect narrative they've maintained for so long is at the mercy of whatever is buried in their digital archives and personal correspondence. Adding more fuel to the fire is the news about Ryan Reynolds' upcoming film, Animal Friends. The project has reportedly faced another major delay, pushing its release all the way into early 2027. While production delays happen in Hollywood, the timing of this one has raised a lot of eyebrows. People are starting to wonder if the ongoing legal uncertainty is playing a role in the studio's decision to wait. Nobody wants to launch a massive promotional tour for a movie while the leading man is being dragged through a messy defamation case that could expose embarrassing private details. The nightmare scenario for any studio is having a major star's legal drama collide with a film's release. Ideally, you want the controversy to settle down and be forgotten before you start the press circuit. By pushing the movie back to 2027, they are buying time, hoping that the court case will be resolved and the public will have moved on. But that's a big gamble, especially since this case seems to be gaining momentum rather than slowing down. Even having Ryan's name loosely connected to these legal claims is the kind of headline that can poison a multi-million-dollar movie rollout. Behind the scenes, the tension between the legal teams is reaching a breaking point. Blake Lively's lawyers have started accusing Justin Baldoni's team of intentionally dragging their feet and slowing down the entire process. They want this over with as quickly as possible, likely to stop the bleeding of their public image. On the other side, Baldoni's team is pushing back, arguing that they need more time because they were just handed a massive mountain of documents to review. They claim the sheer scale of the evidence is what's causing the delay, not any kind of strategic stalling. This back and forth bickering is only making the situation more combative and unpredictable. Both sides are now preparing for a new hearing where they will argue over the timeline of the case and how discovery should proceed. It is becoming very clear that this is not going to be a quiet settlement behind closed doors. Both parties seem dug in, and the judge's refusal to dismiss the case has only emboldened the opposition. Every day this continues is another day that Ryan and Blake's perfect life is subjected to the harsh light of a legal magnifying glass. We are still only in the build-up phase of this conflict. What we've seen so far with the motions and the quashed subpoenas is just the opening act. The real escalation happens when those private messages and internal records are actually read aloud in court. At that point, the story is no longer in the hands of publicists or social media managers. The evidence will speak for itself, and that is exactly what has the couple so concerned. They are fighting a war on two fronts, one in the courtroom for their legal survival, and one in the court of public opinion for their careers. Everything they are doing right now, the Instagram posts, the movie delays, the aggressive legal motions, is an attempt to stay ahead of the moment the truth comes out. They are trying to manage the perception of the case before the discovery documents can change it for them. But the judge's decision to allow the lawsuit to move forward is a massive signal that this isn't just some baseless dispute. It has enough substance to go the distance, and that ensures that the headlines won't be stopping anytime soon. The humiliation of the ruling was just the beginning of a much longer fall from grace. The most chilling part for Ryan and Blake is that the judge didn't see this as a baseless publicity stunt. By allowing the case to move forward, the court has signaled that there is real substance to these claims. The period of controlled narratives and polished PR statements is officially over. As they head into a future of court hearings and public scrutiny, the perfect image they've spent decades building is finally starting to fracture under the weight of the truth. This isn't just a legal battle anymore. It's a fight for their professional survival in an industry that never forgets a scandal.